What if the version of you you're living right now is the one you'll be stuck with forever if you don't change immediately? Not later, not soon, forever. Sit with that. That's not fear. That's trajectory. You don't drift into greatness. You drift into regret. Quietly, slowly, without noticing until it's too late. And the most dangerous part? You've already seen your higher self. Moments of sharp focus. Moments of clarity. Moments where you moved with discipline and control. You remember it because it felt powerful. And then you lost it. Not because it disappeared, because you stopped feeding it. You chose comfort. You chose distraction. You chose the easier version of yourself. Now you feel the gap. That tension inside you isn't confusion. It's misalignment between who you are and who you could be. That gap doesn't disappear. You can ignore it, numb it, distract yourself, but it will stay pressing on your mind every day. Because your potential doesn't vanish. It waits. And the longer you ignore it, the heavier it becomes, until it turns into regret. Before you go any further, understand this. Change doesn't stay without reinforcement. If something in you just shifted, even slightly, don't let it fade back into noise. Stay around people, ideas, and reminders that keep you sharp. So if this hit you, if you felt that pressure, that clarity, subscribe. Not for entertainment, for alignment, because this isn't content you watch once. It's something you return to when you feel yourself slipping, when discipline fades, when focus breaks, when the old version tries to come back. This is where you reset. And if you're serious about changing, don't just watch. Engage. Drop a comment below. What's one action you're taking immediately after this? Not tomorrow. Not later. Now, make it real. Because the moment you declare it, you make it harder to escape, harder to fall back. And that's what you need. Pressure, accountability, movement. No more silent promises. Speak, prove, and then come back stronger. A quiet voice that never leaves. You could have been more. That's where you're heading if nothing changes. And you already know it. This isn't about success or validation. It's about self-respect. Right now, you don't fully respect yourself. Not because you lack ability, but because you lack consistency. You say one thing, then do another. And every time that happens, you weaken your identity. You stop trusting your own words. You stop believing your promises. Without that, you have no foundation. No identity, just reactions, impulses, and repeated patterns. So why become your best self? Because anything less slowly destroys how you see yourself. And once that breaks, everything follows. Your confidence fades. Your discipline weakens. Your standards drop. Your life shrinks to match. You don't choose less. You adapt to it. That's the real danger. Not failure, but getting comfortable with mediocrity. You get used to delaying, used to quitting, used to being average, until it feels normal. And normal becomes permanent. That's how potential is lost. Not in one moment, but through repeated acceptance of less. Understand this clearly. Becoming your best self isn't about perfection. It's about alignment. Your thoughts, words, and actions moving together. No conflict, no hesitation, just clarity and execution. That's where power comes from. When you trust yourself, everything sharpens. Your decisions become precise. Your focus intensifies. Your presence becomes undeniable. People feel it, not because you speak louder, but because you move differently, calm, controlled, intentional. That's what discipline builds. Not just results, identity. And identity changes everything. Because once you become that person, you don't rely on motivation. You act automatically. That's real freedom. Not doing whatever you feel, but doing what must be done without resistance. That's power. And right now, you're below that level. You feel it. That frustration isn't random. It's awareness. You know you're capable of more, but you're not acting on it. That's why it hurts. You're watching yourself hold back. Daily. Consciously. That's exhausting. More exhausting than discipline itself. because discipline moves you forward. This keeps you stuck, draining energy, draining confidence, draining time, and time doesn't return. Every day you stay the same. You're not maintaining, you're falling behind. Life keeps moving. Opportunities shift. People evolve. Standards rise. If you don't keep up, you get left behind. Not dramatically, quietly, until one day, you look around and realize you're not where you should be. And that moment hits hard, because you'll know the truth. It wasn't lack of ability, it was lack of execution. But you can change that, right now. Not by hoping, by deciding. Decide you will no longer tolerate your lower self. The version that hesitates, delays, makes excuses. That version has to go, replaced by someone sharper, more disciplined, more controlled, not louder, stronger within. Because your best self isn't reactive or distracted. It's focused, intentional, unshaken. It does what needs to be done, without negotiation. That's the difference. That's the gap. And closing it is your responsibility. No one does it for you. You walk it step by step, action by action, decision by decision. So here's the truth. Your current self cannot handle the life you want. It will avoid pressure, dodge responsibility, sabotage progress. You've seen the pattern, and it will repeat until you break it. So break it now, not gradually, not comfortably, decisively. Every second you hesitate, you reinforce the version you're trying to escape. And that version is easy to fall back into. Don't. This is your turning point. Not because something external changed, but because you finally see yourself clearly. No excuses, no distortion, just truth. That clarity is rare. Most people run from it. You don't. You act on it. Immediately, because awareness without action is self-betrayal, and you've done enough of that. So here's your challenge. After this, do something your current self would avoid. Immediately, no thinking, no delay. That action is proof. Proof that you're changing. Proof that you're done playing small. Because your best self isn't built in ideas. It's built through action. Repeated. Daily. Relentless. So decide. Not who you want to be, but who you're willing to prove. Then move. Without hesitation. Become it. Marcus Aurelius wrote his thoughts alone. Not for applause, but for control. He reminded himself daily. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Think about that. Everything you blame, everything you avoid, was never the real problem. Your response was. That's where your power lives. Not in changing the world, but in mastering how you meet it. Right now, your reactions are inconsistent. One day focused, next day distracted. One moment disciplined, next moment impulsive. That's not control. That's instability. And instability creates weakness. Epictetus made it simple. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Translation: stop performing. Start building. Because part of your problem is this. You still care too much about how things look. You hesitate because of perception. You delay because of comfort. You avoid discomfort because it feels unnatural. But growth is unnatural. Discipline is unnatural. Control is unnatural at first. That's why most people never reach it. They retreat to what feels easy. But easy doesn't build anything. It erodes you. That's why you feel that internal conflict. Because a part of you knows the truth. You're choosing comfort over growth. Repeatedly. And every time you do that, you reinforce a pattern. Avoid difficulty, feel relief, repeat weakness. That loop becomes your identity. And identity dictates your future. Now here's where Stoicism cuts deeper. Seneca warned about something most people ignore. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. Look at your day. Not what you intend, what you actually do. Where does your time go? Scrolling, delaying, escaping. You're not out of time. You're misusing it. And misuse repeated becomes loss. Permanent loss. Because time isn't just passing. It's shaping you. Every hour you spend distracted, You train yourself to be distracted. Every moment you avoid effort, you train yourself to avoid effort. You're always training. The only question is, what version of yourself are you training? Right now, you're conditioning a weaker version. That's why discipline feels hard. You've trained resistance to it, but that can change. Through one principle, voluntary discomfort. Stoics practiced this deliberately. Cold baths, fasting, minimalism, not to suffer, but to build control. Because when you choose discomfort, you remove its power. You stop fearing it. And once fear disappears, action becomes easier. That's what you need. Not motivation, tolerance for discomfort, because your goals require it. Focus requires discomfort. Consistency requires discomfort. Growth requires discomfort. There's no version of success without it. So stop negotiating with it. Accept it. Move through it. Own it. Now let's go deeper. There's another layer most people never reach. Internal honesty. Brutal, unfiltered truth about yourself. No excuses. No justifications. Because right now, you still lie to yourself. You say, I'll start tomorrow. I just need more time. I'm not ready yet. Those aren't reasons. They're escapes. And every escape delays your evolution. Stoicism demands clarity. Seeing things exactly as they are. Not worse. Not better. Just real. And the real truth is this. You already know what you need to do. You just don't consistently do it. That's the gap. Not knowledge, execution. And execution is built through repetition. Daily. Relentless. No matter how you feel. That's where identity forms. Not in what you think, but in what you repeat. So if you repeat discipline, you become disciplined. If you repeat avoidance, you become avoidant. Simple, but not easy, because your mind resists change. It wants familiarity, even if that familiarity is limiting. That's why you feel tension when you try to level up. That's resistance, not a sign to stop, a sign you're moving in the right direction. Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." That obstacle you're avoiding, that's the path. Not something to remove, something to face. Because every obstacle contains growth. Every difficulty contains strength. Every challenge contains transformation. But only if you engage with it. Otherwise, it remains a barrier. And you remain the same. Now let's talk about control. Real control. Not controlling outcomes. Controlling yourself. Your thoughts. Your emotions. Your actions. Most people are controlled externally. By mood. By environment. By other people. They react. You need to respond. There's a difference. Reaction is automatic. Response is intentional. Reaction is weak. Response is power. And that shift comes from awareness. Catching yourself in the moment. Seeing the impulse. And choosing differently. That's how you break patterns. Not in theory. In real time. When you want to quit, continue. When you want to delay, start. When you want comfort, choose effort. That's the work. And it's constant. But it builds something unshakable. Self-trust. Right now, your self-trust is damaged. Because you've broken your own promises. Again and again. And every time you do that, you teach yourself, my word doesn't matter. That's dangerous. Because if you don't believe yourself, nothing holds. No plan. No goal. No vision. So rebuild it. One action at a time. Say less. Do more. Set smaller promises. And keep them. Every time. That's how you restore integrity. Internally. Quietly. Powerfully. Now here's something deeper. Discipline isn't restriction. It's expansion. It gives you access to levels of life most people never reach. Clarity. Focus. Execution. Without it, you stay limited. Reactive. Unfocused. Stuck. So when you resist discipline, you're resisting your own growth. That's the reality. And once you see that clearly, you stop negotiating. You stop making excuses. You act. Because you understand the cost of not acting. And that cost is your potential, your future, your identity, everything. Now let's bring it back to you. Right now, in this moment, you have two versions in front of you. The one you've been repeating, and the one you know you can become. The difference between them? Action. Nothing else. Not talent, not luck, not timing. Action. Repeated, consistent, focused. That's it. So stop overcomplicating it. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. There isn't one. There's only now. And what you do with it. This is where most people fail. They feel inspired, but they don't act. They think, but they don't execute. They plan, but they don't move. And then nothing changes. Don't be that person. You already know how that ends. Regret, silent, heavy, permanent. So move differently. Right now, take something small, but real, and do it. Immediately. That's how this starts. Not with intensity, with decision, then repetition, then identity. That's the path. And it never stops. Even when you improve, you keep going. Because there's always another level, another version, another standard. And that's the point. You're not chasing perfection. You're building alignment, day by day, action by action, until the gap closes. And one day, you won't feel that tension anymore. Not because you gave up, because you became. That version you saw in flashes, that becomes your default, your baseline, your identity. And from there, everything changes. Your decisions sharpen. Then understand this next layer, because this is where most people quietly fail. They start strong. They feel the shift. They take action for a few days, maybe a week. And then they slow down. Not because they can't continue, but because intensity fades. This is where discipline separates from emotion. Emotion is temporary. Discipline is structural. And if your system depends on how you feel, you've already lost. This is why Epictetus focused on training perception. He didn't say control the world. He said control how you see the world. Because if you see effort as pain, you'll avoid it. If you see effort as identity, you'll pursue it. Same action, different meaning, different outcome. So reframe everything. Discomfort is not punishment. It's preparation. Pressure is not stress. It's refinement. Delay is not rest. It's decay. When your perception sharpens, your behavior follows. That's mastery. And mastery is not loud. It's quiet, consistent, unseen. It's what you do when no one is watching. It's how you act when there's no reward. That's where identity is forged. Not in performance, in repetition. Now go deeper. There's a reason you keep returning to old habits. It's not just comfort. It's familiarity tied to identity. You don't just do those behaviors. You recognize yourself in them. And breaking them feels like losing part of yourself. That's why change feels uncomfortable. You're not just changing actions. You're replacing identity. And identity fights back. It whispers, "This isn't you. This is too much. Go back to normal." But understand this clearly. Normal is what's keeping you stuck. So when that voice appears, don't debate it. Override it. Act anyway. Because action reshapes identity. Not thought. Not intention. Action. Repeated long enough, it becomes you. That's how transformation happens. Slow at first, then suddenly. Now consider this principle from Seneca. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. Most of what you avoid is not real difficulty. It's anticipated discomfort. You think it will be worse than it is, so you delay. But when you actually act, it's manageable, even simple. That's the trap. Your mind exaggerates resistance to keep you in place. So stop trusting that voice blindly. Test it. Act despite it. You'll start to see the truth. Most barriers are illusions, and once you see through them, they lose power. Now let's sharpen this further. There are 3 levels of people: those who react, those who think, those who execute. Most people stay in the first 2. They feel, they analyze, they hesitate. Very few move. That's where advantage is built. Not in knowing more, in doing more, consistently, relentlessly. That's why Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, at dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being, not as a mood, not as a preference, as a responsibility, to function at your highest level, daily, regardless of how you feel. That's discipline, removing emotion from execution, because emotion fluctuates, standards don't. So raise your standards, not occasionally, permanently. Make it unacceptable to fall below them, not through pressure, through identity. This is who I am now. That statement changes everything. Because once identity locks in, behavior follows automatically. You don't debate actions that align with who you are. You just do them. That's where you're heading. But you're not there yet. So you need structure. Clear, simple, non-negotiable structure. Wake up, move, think, act. Plan, execute. No delay between intention and action. That gap is where weakness lives. Close it. Immediately. Now let's address something deeper. Fatigue. Not physical, mental. The kind that comes from inconsistency. Starting and stopping. Trying and quitting. Planning and avoiding. That cycle drains you because you're constantly restarting. Discipline removes that. Creates continuity. Momentum. Flow. And once momentum builds, things get easier. Not because the work changed, because you did. That's the shift. Now consider control again. You don't need to control everything. You need to control enough. Your focus, your effort, your decisions. That's it. The rest follows. But right now you're scattered, pulled in different directions. No clear focus, no sustained effort. That's why progress feels slow. Because it is. Fragmented effort produces fragmented results. So simplify. One task, one direction, full attention. Complete it, then move to the next. That's how discipline compounds. Small, precise execution. Repeated daily. Now let's go even deeper. There's a hidden danger in improvement. Comfort at a higher level. You get better, then you settle again. Different level. Same pattern. That's why you must stay aware. Growth never ends. Standards must keep rising. Not dramatically, but consistently. Because the moment you relax too much, old patterns return. Quietly, gradually, until you're back where you started. So stay sharp. Always. Not paranoid. Aware. That awareness is your edge. Now here's something most won't accept. You don't lack time. You lack discipline over time. You let it slip through distractions, uncontrolled habits, unfocused actions. That's the leak. And until you close it, nothing changes. So audit yourself. Honestly, where is your time going? Where are you losing control? Identify it, cut it, replace it. Immediately. No slow transitions, decisive shifts. That's how patterns break. Now bring it back to action. Everything you've heard means nothing without movement. Not later, now, because delay reinforces the old version. Action builds the new one every time. So act, even if it's small, especially if it's small, because consistency in small actions creates massive change. That's not theory, that's reality. And it's available to you right now, not in the future, in this moment. So stop waiting. Stop preparing endlessly. Stop thinking without moving. That's the trap. You already know enough. More knowledge won't save you. Execution will. So execute now, and then again tomorrow, and the next day. No breaks in identity. No gaps in discipline. Just continuous movement. That's how you rise. That's how you separate. That's how you become. And eventually, you won't recognize the old version anymore. Not because you erased it, because you outgrew it completely. And that's when something changes internally. You stop fighting yourself. You stop negotiating. You stop hesitating. Because there's nothing left to argue with. Your actions and identity align fully. And from that point, everything becomes cleaner, sharper, more controlled. That's mastery, not perfection. Alignment sustained over time. So keep going. Even when it's quiet. Even when it's hard. Even when no one notices. Because this isn't for them. It's for you. Your standards. Your identity. Your life. And that's worth everything. So move. Again. Now. And there will be moments when you want to disappear back into comfort. Moments where discipline feels heavy. Where effort feels pointless. Where your mind starts bargaining again. Just this once. Take it easy today. You deserve a break. That voice sounds reasonable. That's why it's dangerous. Because it doesn't try to destroy you instantly. It tries to soften you slowly. And slow erosion is harder to detect. You don't notice the damage immediately. You notice it when your edge is gone. When focus weakens. When standards drop. When effort feels optional. That's how it starts. Not with failure. With small compromises. Repeated. Accepted. Normalized. Until one day discipline feels unnatural again. And comfort feels like home. That's the trap. And if you don't catch it early, you fall back into the same cycle. So you have to become aware of it. Not once. Constantly. Because this isn't a one-time decision. It's a daily confrontation. Between the version of you that wants ease and the version that demands growth. And they cannot coexist equally. One will dominate. The question is, which one are you feeding? Every decision answers that. Every action confirms it. You don't become disciplined by thinking about it. You become disciplined by choosing it, especially when it's inconvenient. That's the standard. Not when it's easy. Not when you feel ready. When it's uncomfortable. When it's inconvenient. When you'd rather not. That's where identity shifts. That's where respect is built. Because self-respect isn't given. It's earned. Through kept promises. Through consistent action. Through showing yourself again and again that you follow through. Right now, that's unstable. You start, then stop. Commit, then hesitate. And every break weakens your belief in yourself. So stabilize it. Not by doing everything, but by doing what you said you would do. No matter how small. Because small consistency beats intense inconsistency. Every time. Now feel this clearly. You are not tired because the work is too hard. You are tired because you keep resisting it. That internal friction drains you. That constant back and forth. Should I? Shouldn't I? Start. Stop. Delay. Avoid. That's where your energy is going. Not into execution. Into hesitation. Remove that, and suddenly, things feel lighter, cleaner, more direct, because there's no internal conflict. Just action. That's what you're aiming for. Not perfection. Alignment without resistance. And that only comes from repetition. Doing the hard thing until it becomes normal. Doing the uncomfortable until it becomes expected. Doing the disciplined action until it becomes automatic. That's the path. There's no shortcut around it. No trick. No secret. Just repetition. But repetition with awareness. Because if you repeat the wrong patterns, you strengthen the wrong identity. So stay conscious. Watch your decisions. Watch your habits. Watch where you fall back. And correct it immediately. Not tomorrow. Not later. Now. Because delay reinforces the old pattern. Correction builds the new one. Every moment is a vote. For who you're becoming. And those votes add up. Quietly. Until they define you. Now understand this. You don't need to feel confident to act. Confidence is a result. Not a requirement. You build it through proof. And proof only comes from action. So stop waiting to feel ready. You won't. Not consistently. And that's fine. Because readiness is overrated. Execution is everything. Move without it. Act without it. Build through it. That's how confidence forms. Layer by layer. Action by action. Now there's something deeper you need to face. Fear of your own potential. Not fear of failure. Fear of what happens if you actually become who you're capable of being. Because that version of you requires responsibility. Consistency. Standards you can't ignore. And part of you resists that. Because once you step into it, There's no going back to excuses. No hiding behind "I'll try." No comfort in delay. You either act or you betray yourself. And that level of accountability is heavy. But it's also freedom, because it removes confusion. There's no debate, no overthinking, just clarity. Do what needs to be done. That's it. And once you accept that fully, life becomes simpler, not easier, but clearer. And clarity removes hesitation. Now feel this truth. Nobody is coming to push you. Nobody is going to force you into discipline. Nobody will carry you into your potential. That responsibility is yours, completely. And once you accept that, you stop waiting. You stop blaming. You stop explaining. You act, because there's no alternative. And that's where power begins. Ownership. Full, unapologetic ownership. Of your actions. Your time. Your standards. Everything. No excuses. No exceptions. Because excuses weaken identity. And you've had enough of that. Now you build strength. Quietly. Relentlessly. Without needing validation. Because validation is temporary. Identity is permanent. So stop chasing approval. Start building proof. Proof through action. Proof through discipline. Proof through consistency. That's what lasts. That's what transforms you. Now understand this final layer. There is a version of you watching all of this. Silent. Aware. Waiting. Not judging. Waiting. Waiting to see if you'll finally act. If you'll finally align. If you'll finally stop repeating the same cycle. That version doesn't need motivation. It needs proof. And proof only comes one way. Action. Immediate. Unfiltered. Real. So give it that. Right now. Not perfectly, but honestly. Do something that moves you forward. Something your old self would avoid. Something uncomfortable. Something real. And don't stop there. Repeat it. Again. And again. Until it becomes you. Because that's how this ends. Not with a thought. With a transformation. Built through action. Sustained through discipline. Defined by identity. So move. Now. And don't break the pattern. And when you think you've reached your limit, that's where the real work begins. Because what you call limit is often just the edge of your comfort. Not your capacity. Your capacity is far beyond what you've tested. But you rarely reach it, because you stop when it becomes uncomfortable. That's the line you keep obeying. And that line is artificial. Built from habit. Reinforced by repetition. Protected by fear. So every time you stop there, you confirm it. You tell yourself, this is enough. But it isn't. It never was. You just accepted it. And acceptance of less becomes identity. Now flip it. Every time you push past that line, even slightly, you weaken it. You expand your range. You teach your mind a new truth. I can go further. That's how growth actually works. Not in massive leaps, but in small defiance of your previous limits. Repeated. Relentless. Now understand this. Your mind is not designed to make you great. It's designed to keep you safe. And safety in its default state looks like familiar routines, predictable effort, minimal risk. That's why it resists change. Not because change is wrong, but because change is unknown. And unknown feels dangerous. So your mind slows you down, distracts you, doubts you, redirects you, all to keep you where you are. That's why discipline is required. Because discipline overrides instinct. It chooses growth over comfort, action over hesitation, structure over chaos. Without it, you drift back into old patterns, back into familiar habits, back into the version you're trying to escape. And drifting feels harmless in the moment. But over time, it compounds. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months, months into years. And suddenly, you've built a life you never intended. Not through one decision, but through lack of decision. That's the danger. Not dramatic failure, gradual decline. Now face this honestly. There are things you know you should be doing that you're not doing. Not because you don't understand them, but because you're avoiding the discomfort attached to them. that avoidance is costing you more than you realize. Every delay has a price. Lost time, lost momentum, lost confidence. And those losses accumulate, quietly, until they shape your reality. So stop treating avoidance like it's neutral. It isn't. It's active regression. Now shift your perspective. Instead of asking, "What do I feel like doing?" ask, "What moves me forward?" That question removes emotion. It brings clarity, because the answer is usually obvious. You just don't like it, and that's exactly why you need to do it. Now here's where it gets deeper. There's a version of you that's tired of starting over, tired of resetting, tired of breaking your own consistency. That frustration you feel, that's not weakness. That's awareness reaching its limit. You're seeing the pattern too clearly now. You can't pretend anymore. You can't lie to yourself the same way. And that's uncomfortable, because once you see it, you're responsible for changing it. There's no escape. So don't try to escape it. Use it. Let that frustration turn into precision, into focus, into execution. Because emotion, when directed properly, becomes fuel, not chaos. Now understand something critical. You don't need a new plan. You need stricter execution. Most people already know what to do. They just don't do it consistently. So they keep searching for new strategies, new systems, new methods. But the problem isn't knowledge. It's discipline. And discipline isn't found. It's built through repetition, through discomfort, through choosing action when it's inconvenient. That's it. That's the formula. Simple, unavoidable. Now go deeper. There's a hidden cost to inconsistency. It fragments your identity. One day you're focused. Next day you're distracted. 1 week you're disciplined. Next week you're off track. That inconsistency creates confusion internally. You don't know who you are anymore. You don't trust your own patterns. And without that trust, you hesitate more. You doubt more. You delay more. That's why consistency matters more than intensity. Because consistency stabilizes identity, creates predictability, and predictability builds trust with yourself. That's the foundation you've been missing. Now build it, one action at a time. Keep it simple, keep it real, but keep it consistent. No breaks, no resets, just continuation. That's how you eliminate the cycle. Now let's confront something deeper. Excuses, not the obvious ones, the subtle ones. I'll do it later. I'm just not in the right state. I need to prepare more. They sound logical, but they're just refined forms of avoidance. And the more intelligent you are, the better you become at justifying them. That's the trap. You convince yourself you're being strategic when you're actually delaying. So cut through it. Ask yourself one question. Am I moving or avoiding? Be honest. That answer tells you everything. Now act accordingly. Immediately. Because hesitation feeds avoidance. Speed kills it. Now feel this clearly. Momentum is fragile in the beginning. Easy to break. Easy to lose. That's why you must protect it. Aggressively. No unnecessary distractions. No wasted time. No loose decisions. Tight execution. Focused movement. Until it becomes stable. Because once momentum stabilizes, everything changes. Effort feels lighter. Action feels natural. Progress becomes visible. And that reinforces you. That's the loop you want. Not avoidance. Momentum. But it starts with discipline. Always. Now understand this. You don't rise to your goals. You fall to your standards. And your standards right now are inconsistent. That's why your results are inconsistent. So raise them. And more importantly, enforce them daily. No exceptions. Because exceptions become patterns. And patterns become identity. So be strict. Not emotionally. Structurally. This is what I do now. No negotiation. No debate. Just execution. That's how standards become reality. Now here's something deeper. Silence. Real growth is quiet. No announcements. No constant validation. No external noise. just work, repeated, unseen. That's where transformation happens. Because when you stop performing for others, you start building for yourself. And that changes everything. Your focus sharpens. Your discipline strengthens. Your identity stabilizes. Because it's no longer dependent on attention. It's internal. That's power. Now feel this. You are closer than you think. Not to perfection, but to control. You've already seen glimpses. Moments where you operated at a higher level. That wasn't luck. That was you. Unfiltered, undistracted, disciplined. So don't act like it's impossible. It's not. It's inconsistent. And inconsistency can be fixed. Through repetition. Through awareness. Through action. Now let's go even deeper. Pain. Not physical. Internal. The discomfort of knowing you're not where you should be. That quiet dissatisfaction. That constant pressure in your mind. That's not something to avoid. That's something to use. Because that pain is information. It's telling you, you're capable of more. So listen to it. Don't numb it. Don't distract yourself from it. Channel it. Into action. Into focus. Into discipline. Because when pain is directed, it becomes power. Now understand this final truth. There is no perfect moment, no ideal condition, no future version of you that will suddenly feel ready. There is only now, and what you choose to do with it. Every delay pushes your potential further away. Every action brings it closer. That's the equation. Simple, brutal, real. So stop waiting. Stop analyzing endlessly. Stop preparing without executing. You've done enough of that. Now you move. Now you act. Now you prove it. To yourself. Not once, but repeatedly. Until it becomes undeniable. Until it becomes automatic. Until it becomes you. Because that's how transformation works. Not in ideas. In identity. Built through action. Sustained through discipline. Defined by consistency. So keep going. Even when it's hard. Even when it's quiet. Even when no one sees it. Because this isn't about them. It never was. It's about you. And who you choose to become. Right now. So decide. Then act. And don't stop. Now carry this forward. Because the real separation point is not motivation anymore. It's execution under fatigue. When you don't feel like it. When your mind is already negotiating. When every part of you is looking for permission to delay. That is the exact moment where identity is either built or broken. Not in theory. In that moment. Because discipline is not what you do when you are strong. It is what you do when you are not. And most people misunderstand this completely. They think discipline is a feeling. It is not. It is a decision that refuses to change based on feeling. That is why your life has been inconsistent. Not because you lack knowledge. But because you allow negotiation. You keep reopening decisions that should already be closed. And every time you reopen them, you weaken yourself. So understand this clearly. The moment you decide something is important, it must stop being negotiable. If it is important today, it is important tomorrow. Not depending on mood. Not depending on energy. Not depending on external validation. Because if importance changes with emotion, then nothing is truly important. And that is how people stay stuck for years. They keep reevaluating the same decisions instead of executing them. Now go deeper into this truth. Your mind will always present a softer option. Always. It is designed that way. It will call it rest. It will call it timing. It will call it preparation. But underneath all those words is the same thing. Avoidance of discomfort. And discomfort is exactly where growth exists. So the pattern is simple. Every time you feel resistance, you are standing at a fork. One path preserves comfort. The other builds strength. And in the moment, comfort always feels logical. That is why so few people escape it. Not because they are incapable, but because they keep trusting comfort over consequence. Now understand the cost of that over time. You don't see it instantly. That's the deception. You feel fine in the moment, but slowly your standards weaken. Slowly your tolerance for excuses increases. Slowly your ambition gets replaced with survival thinking. And one day you look up and realize you didn't fail dramatically, you just stopped progressing quietly. That is the most dangerous form of failure, because there is no warning siren, only distance from who you could have been. Now bring awareness to something critical. You are not behind because you are incapable. You are behind because you are inconsistent. And inconsistency is not a personality trait. It is a habit loop, which means it can be broken, but only through repetition that feels uncomfortable at first. That is the price. There is always a price. People want change without discomfort, but that combination does not exist. If you avoid discomfort, you also avoid change. They are connected. So every time you choose comfort, you are also choosing stagnation. Even if you call it rest, even if you call it planning, even if you call it thinking. Now shift your awareness even deeper. There is a version of you that already knows this. Not intellectually, but internally. That quiet voice that shows up when everything is still. That pressure you sometimes feel at night. That awareness that you are not aligned with your potential. That is not anxiety. That is clarity trying to break through repetition. But most people drown it out immediately. With noise, with distraction, with temporary relief. Because silence forces honesty, and honesty demands change. So they avoid silence. But avoidance does not erase awareness. It only delays response. Now understand something very few people accept. Your future is not created by inspiration. It is created by what you repeatedly tolerate. If you tolerate inconsistency, you build instability. If you tolerate excuses, you build delay. If you tolerate distraction, you build fragmentation. And fragmented people cannot build strong lives, because they are always restarting, always resetting, always trying to regain momentum they keep losing. So the goal is not intensity. The goal is stability, a stable mind, a stable routine, a stable standard, even if it is small, because stability compounds. Now think about this clearly. The strongest people are not the most emotional. They are the most consistent under emotional pressure. That is the real training, not avoiding emotion, but acting despite it. That is mastery, and mastery is not a talent. It is a pattern repeated long enough to override impulse. Now bring attention to your standards again, because everything returns here. Your standards are not what you say, they are what you accept. If you accept low effort once, you teach your mind that low effort is allowed. If you accept distraction once, you teach your mind that focus is optional. And your mind learns quickly, faster than your intentions. That is why you cannot afford leniency at the beginning, because early leniency becomes long-term identity. So you must be strict where it matters, not emotionally harsh, structurally firm. There is a difference. Emotionally harsh breaks you. Structurally firm builds you. Structure says, this is the time I work. This is what I complete. This is what I do regardless. No debate, no revision, just execution. Now go deeper into action itself. Action is not just productivity. Action is identity formation. Every action you take is a vote for who you are becoming. Small actions, repeated actions, invisible actions. They matter more than big emotional bursts, because bursts fade, but repetition stays. And what stays becomes you. So if you want to change identity, stop trying to feel different first. Start acting different first. Feelings will follow later. Not immediately, but inevitably. Now understand something even more important. The hardest part is not starting. It is continuing when novelty disappears. Because at first, everything feels new, exciting, fresh, but eventually, repetition removes emotion. And that is where most people quit. Not at the beginning, but at the boring middle, where nothing feels special anymore, where progress is slow, where no one is watching. That is the real test. Can you continue without emotional reward? Can you keep showing up when nothing feels significant? Because that is where transformation actually happens. Not in peaks, but in persistence. Now bring attention to your internal dialogue, because it will always try to rewrite your discipline. It will say, "You deserve a break. You've done enough. You can start again tomorrow." And sometimes those thoughts sound reasonable, but reason without discipline becomes delay. So you must learn to separate thought from instruction. Not every thought deserves action. Some thoughts are just resistance speaking, and resistance is predictable. It appears right before growth, always. So when resistance shows up, recognize it, not as truth, but as signal, a signal that you are close to something that matters. Now go deeper into momentum. Momentum is fragile at first. It breaks easily. One skipped action can reset it. That is why the beginning phase is critical. You don't need perfection. You need continuity. No breaks. No pauses that become excuses. Just forward motion. Even small. Even imperfect. Because motion creates identity faster than planning ever will. Now understand this clearly. You are not trying to become someone new. You are removing what blocks who you already are. That stronger version of you is not fictional. It is just inconsistent. So the work is not addition. It is removal. Removal of hesitation. Removal of excuses. Removal of delay. Now reach this realization. You already know what to do. The gap is not knowledge. It is obedience. And obedience to your own standards is the highest form of self-respect. Because every time you ignore your own word, you fracture trust with yourself. And once self-trust weakens, everything becomes harder. Decisions feel heavier. Actions feel uncertain. Progress feels distant. So rebuild trust through action. Not promises. Not plans. Action. Repeated until it becomes automatic. Now feel this truth fully. There is no version of you that becomes disciplined later. There is only the version of you that becomes disciplined now or never. Time will not fix inconsistency. Time amplifies it. So the longer you delay structure, the stronger chaos becomes. That is the reality. And reality does not negotiate. So stop negotiating with yourself. Stop waiting for clarity that only comes after action. Move first. Understand later. Adjust through execution. Now we reach the final layer. This is not about pressure. It is about awareness. Awareness that your life is not changing by accident. It is being built daily, through repetition, through tolerance, through decisions you think are small. But they are not small. They are cumulative. And cumulative choices become destiny. So choose deliberately, not once, but repeatedly, because identity is not a moment. It is a pattern. And now you are at the point where you can choose a new pattern. Not perfectly, but consistently. And that is enough. That is always enough. Now move forward with that understanding. Not emotionally, structurally, step by step, action by action, day by day, until the old version of you becomes unfamiliar, and the new one becomes default. That is the goal. Nothing dramatic, just irreversible change built quietly through discipline. Now bring this to closure. If you are still here, you already know what needs to happen next. Not later, not after more thinking. Now, because the gap between knowing and becoming is only filled with execution. And execution is the only language your future responds to. So move, and keep moving, even when it is quiet, even when it is hard, even when no one acknowledges it. Because this is not about attention. It is about transformation. And transformation only responds to consistency. So commit, and do not break the commitment for temporary comfort. Now, if this message reached you clearly, don't just consume it and move on. Apply it today, not tomorrow. And if you are serious about continuing this path, then stay connected. There is more coming that will challenge how you think, how you act, and how you build yourself. So subscribe to this channel for more content like this. Watch the next video appearing on your screen right now. Like this video if you are done negotiating with your potential. Share it with someone who keeps delaying their growth. And comment what part hit you the hardest. Because this is where change begins. Not in agreement, but in action. Now move.